Hello everybody, welcome to Minnesota Sports HQ. I'm Ben. What a day in Minnesota sports. My word, I am going insane. I am still hyperventilating from that Vikings game. Whew. Let's just breathe and let's talk about it, okay? Now, today, what a day. We had the Wild play the Canucks. We had the Timberwolves play the Trailblazers, looking for their 5th win in a row. And, of course, we had the big divisional round matchup of the Vikings versus the Saints. And the Jaguars also played the Steelers on the other side of the bracket. So we're going to talk about all those things today, and let's get right into it, talking about the Minnesota Wild. Here we go. So the Wild lost 3-2 in overtime to the Canucks. Jason Zucker scored 5 minutes into the first power play goal. And then Eriksson scored for Vancouver 17 minutes into the first period. No scoring in the second, so I figured it would be a really good game. And if you told me it was going to overtime, I probably wouldn't have been too upset. I mean, obviously I wouldn't have been upset. I was still going hysterical from the Vikings game, but Daniel Winnick scored 12 minutes in to the third period. And then Vanek tied it up 17 minutes into the third period, 3 minutes left. And then Sutter scored 2 minutes and 50 seconds into overtime, giving Markstrom the win for Vancouver in net and giving Dubnyk the loss. Now, how does this affect the standings? Well, in the wild card, the Wild are in the top wild card slot at 24, 17, and 5. We have 53 points after 46 games. And looking right behind us, Dallas has 2 games in hand, and they're 2 points behind. San Jose has 5 games in hand, and they're 3 points behind. And Chicago has 1 game in hand, 3 points behind. And Colorado has 4 games in hand and 4 points behind. And Anaheim has 2 games in hand, and they're also 4 points behind. So this wild card race could be absolutely crazy. And looking at the divisional standings here, yesterday we moved up to 4th, and we are still there. And we did have a game in hand on St. Louis, but now we've played the same amount of games. We're 2 points behind them. And it would be really nice for us to get into one of those top 3 slots. Now, this game was a back-to-back at home, so we were probably a little tired from last night's game versus Winnipeg. But that was a nice win, and one thing I loved was what happened when the crowd saw the Vikings play, where we won. The crowd just went mental, the team just went mental, and actually I think that's what caused us to lose concentration. But if we lose a regular season game for the Vikings to advance in the playoffs, I know I'm not complaining. Now, next we'll look at the Timberwolves looking to get their 5th consecutive win. They played the Trailblazers. And, another double-digit win for the T-Wolves. The T-Wolves win 120-103. I believe that's also their 5th double-digit win in a row. And when we played the Cavaliers and the Thunder, we played some good teams in that stretch. And really, balanced scoring is what has helped us do that. Andrew Wiggins had 17 points this game. Taj Gibson had 12. Towns had 20. Jimmy Butler had 24. And Jeff Teague had 22. When you're starting 5 all gets over 10 points, that's usually a really good sign for success. Towns had another double-double, getting 11 rebounds. And off the bench, Jamal Crawford with 10, always coming in clutch for us there. And looking at what Portland was able to do against our defense, Damian Lillard had 21 and CJ McCollum had 18. That's not really what I'm worried about, though. Usually Harkless and Shabazz Napier all go off against us, and they really didn't. So pretty impressed with Minnesota's defense, but I watched what Tom Thibodeau said, and he said we still had some work to do on defense. I mean, personally, I think we're doing pretty good. I mean, looking at how this affects the standings, we're the 4th seed still in the West, only a half a game behind the 3rd seed San Antonio, and we're only 3 games behind the Houston Rockets. Still 6.5 games behind the Warriors. I don't really see that changing, but we are 5 games up on the 5th seed in Oklahoma City, and another game in hand on the 7 and 8 seed. So, you know what? Looks like we could end our 13-year playoff drought, and we're looking pretty good. I would actually love to see a matchup versus the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs. Not because it's an easy matchup, but because we always play well against them, so it would be nice to kind of, shut down a super team, I guess. But we're on a 5-game win streak, looking good, and that's all that matters. Now, I know you all want me to talk about the Vikings game, but I'm going to save that for last, as it was the last thing that happened in the NFL today. The first thing that happened, the Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Steelers 45-42. What a game. Jacksonville started off so well. They were up 21-0 at one point. And really, a 50-yard fumble return for a touchdown for Jacksonville really sealed this thing up. But talk about the Jacksonville defense really falling apart, allowing the Steelers to score 42 points. Now, Antonio Brown did have a really nice catch to get this game close again, but alas, the Steelers didn't leave themselves enough time to do an onside kick and perhaps tie the game or take the lead. Now, what's really interesting in this game is that Pittsburgh had 545 yards of offense, and Jacksonville had 378. That's crazy. I mean, the only reason Jacksonville won is because of their defense, and that's kind of what we've been saying, that's what we've kind of been saying throughout the whole year, that they're kind of carried by their defense. But, I mean, Blake the Snake Bortles, Leonard Fournette all played well. The wide receiver core played well, and they scored 45 points on their own. And that makes me pretty happy because really the only game I got wrong in my predictions was the Falcons beating the Eagles, but that was just a really gritty game. I'm not even going to count that. And I will put out a conference finals preview sometime this week when there's no other Minnesota sports games going on. So be ready for that. Be out on the lookout. Now, here's what we're all talking about. New Orleans Saints versus Minnesota Vikings, and my word, this game, the emotions were off the charts. We start well. Jerick McKinnon gets a nice run to put us up 7-0. We get a field goal. Our defense is shutting them down, creating turnovers. And then Latavius Murray gets in 17-0. They miss a field goal right before the end of the half. We miss a field goal right before the end of the half. And we go into the half 17-0. Now I'm just like, going to dinner, I'm thinking, wow, we are absolutely killing them. And we get the ball first, too. So we're not going to do what Kansas City did against Tennessee. We're not going to lose this. Oh, wait. We're Minnesota. This is what we do. And, we throw an interception. They get a touchdown. They block a punt. They get a touchdown. And right there, we're only up by 3. So we get a field goal, and kind of the rest of the game, I am crapping my pants, waiting for them to score a touchdown and take the lead, and then we lose. And they end up scoring a touchdown with 1 minute and 49 seconds left. And it's just kind of like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, how has this happened? Or no, they scored it with, 3 minutes left. And it's just kind of like, why does that have to happen? I mean, we were doing so well, and now we don't even have the lead anymore. And it's just kind of like, So we get the ball with 3 minutes left, and I'm just like, you know what? I think we can do this. I think we can get a field goal. And then I'm thinking in my head, oh no, 2 years ago. Oh no. Just absolutely scared to death. I mean, we're losing. I'm mad here. And we work the ball down the field. Beautiful catch by Adam Thielen. And we don't burn the clock enough. And we have a field goal from the 35 of New Orleans. So that's a 53-yard field goal for Kai Forbath. And I'm just like, oh no. I mean, if he misses, I can't complain. I mean, that's a 53-yard field goal. That's pretty far. And he just drills it, and I'm just like, okay, we have the lead. I think we can do this. And then we give the ball back to New Orleans with 1 minute and 29 seconds, and that is way too much time to give Drew Brees. He brings it up, and, you know, they had a fumble that we really should have gotten, and that was pretty tough. And then they miss a 3rd and 1. We take a timeout with 29 seconds left. They kick a 43-yard field goal that's straight down the middle, and I'm just like, oh no, we're down by 1 again. We're gonna flip and lose. Like, what is going on? We're gonna lose this game. We were up by 17. We've scored 6 points in the second half. Gosh dang, why are we playing conservative defense? And I'm just like, okay, you know what? I mean, there's still 25 seconds left, and we have a timeout left. I mean, I know that's not much, but maybe we could get in field goal range. Maybe we could take this back. And it's just like, how has the lead changed this many times this quick? So we get a 19-yard pass to Stephon Diggs, and it's just like, okay, we take the timeout. 18 seconds left. We still have like 30 yards to go before field goal range. And then Jarius Wright drops one. McKinnon was a little out of its reach, but there were pressure on both of those throws. And then 10 seconds left, 3rd and 10. Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs. What a beautiful play that was. I mean, even if he had gotten the 2 feet in and fallen over out of bounds, I mean, that would have been a decent field goal. It would have been like 43 yards, I think. And, you know, it's just like, I mean, he caught it, and I started celebrating, just thinking he was going to go out of bounds and that he had a chance. No, I'm not even looking at the TV as he stays on his feet, hand on the ground, and he runs for a touchdown. I turn around and look. He scores a touchdown. I go mental. I mean, no time left on the clock. We've just won, and what on earth just happened? Like, we blew the lead. We took the lead again. We blew it again. And then, we don't even give them any time to see if they can bring it back. It was just like, wow, that is the most Minnesota thing I have ever seen, except we actually won this time. I was just like, if we would have lost that game, I probably would have been crying on the floor like I was 2 years ago when Blair Walsh missed that field goal. I mean, that was a heartbreaker, but this, I mean, we have a home Super Bowl planned for, and I don't know how that 99-year-old fan that was in the stadium did not have a heart attack, because I was just watching and I pretty much had a heart attack. I was hyperventilating for like 2 hours. Had to go in to help somebody at work, still hyperventilating. But you know what? The Vikings are moving on to the conference championship, and some of the stats, I mean, we held Drew Brees to a 0.0 passer rating in the first half. He was 1 for 6 for 3 yards, and he threw an interception. Then we got another turnover in the second half, and we could add another one, actually, if Mark Unger hadn't fallen on the Drew Brees fumble. But dang, Case Keenum actually really played well, and props to our running game and line for doing okay. I was really kind of upset because we had a right tackle, Rashad Hill, and he didn't play well against Cameron Jordan, so I'm a little worried about how he'll face off against Chris Long when we play the Eagles next week. But you know what? We're still in the playoffs. That's all that matters. And holy cow, what a game. They're calling it the Minneapolis Miracle. I think it fits. I mean, it's kind of like when Pittsburgh had the Immaculate Reception, and then they got another buzzer-beating play. They called it the Immaculate Extension. I mean, Minnesota doesn't really have the type of, like we don't have a play like that in our history, so it's kind of like, well, what do we call it? And I mean, I'm okay with the nickname, but I mean, like, even the Raiders, they have the Holy Roller and Goes to the Post. Those are some iconic plays, those two involving spiritual things, and it's just like, you know, we got to get something. The Minneapolis Miracle, it kind of indicates, like, we weren't prepared for this, and we weren't. We weren't expecting this, we weren't. And we're not expecting anything in the future, so that about sums it up. And let's just take a moment to breathe, enjoy the victory as Minnesota fans. Let's regroup, and let's kick Philadelphia's butt to get a home Super Bowl. Skol Vikings. Let's go. We'll see you tomorrow with another vid. Have a good night, everybody.